Comic Book Savant, episode 329.
I know this. This I know. All that I have, all that is me, resides inside my poetry. And every time I write a rhyme, it might be the line that sets mine free. And also, I know that I don't.
Welcome to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. This week, we're going to be doing a movie talk episode, which is going to be a spoiler-filled review for the movie Logan. If you haven't had a chance to see Logan yet, you want to stop the podcast right now, go check out the movie, and after you check out the movie, come back, listen to the episode. I'm going to be going deep into spoilers and talking about different aspects of the movie. I don't want to ruin it for anyone, so this is your last warning. Please pause the podcast right now until after you've seen the movie, then come back and listen to it so you can enjoy it without any spoilers. With that being said, we're going to move on to the meat of the episode, but as always, before I get into that, I'd love to give a shout out to my friends over at the Comic Podcast Network. If you're not familiar with them, it's at comicspodcast.com. It's a great place. If you like this podcast and you're looking for more comic book related content, the Comics Podcast Network, it's the best place you can go on the internet. That is basically just a portal that was built up by a bunch of comic book podcasters many years ago to help cross-promote our shows and give a landing spot to anyone looking for comic book related content to find it all in a one-stop shop. It's a great organization that I've been a part of since the very beginning. And it keeps growing. You know, literally it started with about 20 or 30 of us. Now it is literally hundreds of members of the Comic Podcast Network. So if you have a moment, stop by the website, try a podcast or two. And if you try them and you like them, don't forget to reach out to that content creator, send them an email, tweet, whatever, and let them know that you enjoyed the content and that you found it through the Comic Podcast Network. That always means a lot, and feedback from you guys as listeners goes a long way in helping us continue to push through and make content. And last but not least, as always, I'd love to give a shout out to the other sponsor that sponsors this and every episode, which is my friends over at InStockTrades.com. The best place you can go on the internet for any type of collected edition, hardcover, absolute edition, omnibus, Marvel Masterworks, the DC Golden Age collection. You think of, when you think of any type of collected edition, you pretty much can find it 90% of the time, or pretty much 95% of the time, over at InStockTrades.com. If you're not familiar with their prices, they have deals ranging from 35, 42, up to 50% off with their deals of the week. The deals that they currently have listed here on the site is they have the Excalibur Epic Collection trade paperback Sword is Drawn. That is 50% off, only $19.99. They have Harley Quinn Volume 1 trade paperback, Die Laughing. This is the first one from Rebirth. We've been getting the first round of all the Rebirth titles in trade form with the first story arcs. That one is 50% off, only $8.49. We have Jack of Fables deluxe hardcover edition, Book 1. That one is 50% off, only $19.99. We have JSA The Golden Age Deluxe Edition hardcover. That is 50% off, only $17.49. And last but not least, we have Justice League of America Power and Glory hardcover. That is 50% off, only $14.99. And for those who are unfamiliar, they have, if you're a U.S. customer, this only qualifies for U.S. customers, so I'm being very specific. If you're a U.S. customer, you order $50 or more, you get free shipping, and that's only for U.S. customers. If you happen to be abroad and you listen to the podcast and you're hearing about this, you'll still get all the great savings that the site has to offer, even with the deals of the week, but you just don't get that free shipping. But they do have some of the most competitive and lowest rates for international shipping around, so you still might save more than what you normally would if you go there and place an order. So you still get the value of the savings. You just don't get that one extra bonus of getting that, the shipping free. But again, the rates are very competitive, and with the money you're saving on the books themselves, it's a win-win proposition, trust me. Let me speak on a few things before I get into the episode. I do apologize for not having an episode last week. I was having some computer issues and an internet situation, so I was all set to record an episode. Had issues run on and off throughout the week. It got very late in the week, and I already knew that I had on deck. My best friend came in. I hadn't had a chance to see him in 7 years, and I had waited to see Logan. I would have done the Logan review episode last week, but then I had computer issues. Then he came into town towards the end of the week, and we waited to see it till Saturday. So that's why I'm doing the review for Logan now, and it didn't come a little bit earlier. Normally I do them a little bit more timely, so that was why you missed the episode last week. And then again, I just waited for him to come in to see the movie, to do the review. I tried to convince him to get behind the microphone with me and do a joint kind of review episode, but he's kind of microphone shy, so I decided to wait till after he left out to sit down and chop it up with you guys and do the review. Also, I know that I had announced the contest, and I've been the worst about it because I couldn't figure out how I necessarily wanted to do it. I wanted to tie it into, the social media. I've been way more active on the Facebook page for Comic Book Savant and my personal page, because a lot of you guys follow me on Facebook. It's just James Harris III, or James H. Harris III. That's my government. So a lot of you guys over the years that are fans will just follow me on my personal Facebook, but I do have a Facebook page that's joined into me that is just facebook.com/Comic Book Savant. I've tried to be active there. I've been tweeting more, and I'm trying to build up the Instagram. So I've been horrible because I tried to send you guys over to YouTube to build up the presence there, but I'm just going to start the contest fresh from now and just do it, simply put, as, just if you follow me on Instagram, because I'm being way more active on Instagram and trying to give you guys more behind the scenes stuff and show you some day-to-day stuff. If you follow me on just follow me on Instagram, let me know that that you heard about it on the show. Just send me a message to let me know, because I'm getting new followers every day. The more I'm posting and more I'm being active, I'm seeing you guys there. So just all you have to do is follow me on Instagram. The contest is going to run a month from today. So it started today. I'm recording on the 16th. The 16th of next month, the contest will end. I will pick one of you guys from the Instagram account to win the $25 gift certificate for In Stock Trades, and it's just going to be that simple. And I apologize. I totally dropped the ball. Like I said, social media has not been my biggest strong point, and I've been working hard. So I've been posting more on there and just trying to get more comfortable. For so long, in the 10 years I've been doing the show, I did everything in a simple format, and kind of around me in the 10 years, social media became such a huge part of promoting and connecting with the audience. When I first started, I had a message board, and everything kind of happened there, and message boards kind of became passe to Twitter, then Twitter to Instagram. So I'm learning, so bear with me on that. But I do apologize that I hadn't been more diligent about it. Inside Trades has been on board from the very beginning, and I just have dropped the ball and being consistent enough with putting out the episodes the past 2 weeks anyway, and to follow through on it. But it's just that simple. Follow me on Instagram. Within the next month, I'll do a random drawing and pick a winner from the Instagram subscribers for the winner of the contest, and we'll announce it on Instagram. I won't do it on the show, so you would only know if you won if you follow me and continue to follow the account there, and that's where I'll announce the winner. So with all that stuff out of the way, with the housekeeping out of the way, let's talk about Logan. This is the final appearance. So he said, there's still questions about him appearing maybe in Deadpool 2 for Hugh Jackman playing Logan, and it was announced right before the movie was released, or while they were doing the press for the movie, that Patrick Stewart said it was his last appearance as Charles Xavier. So this movie was very significant in that is two of the biggest stars in this whole X-Men franchise as it's ran since 2000. So for 17 years, they've been, some of the cornerstones of this movie franchise. This is their last time reprising these, I would say, iconic roles. Logan is directed by James Mangold, which directed the last movie, which was The Wolverine, that met with mixed reviews. I like the first half of the movie. The second half kind of falls off, and the ending is not necessarily what I wanted it to be, but I like the movie. I don't love it, but James Mangold is one of my favorite directors. He's in my top 10 as far as current directors. He's on that list. I was going back looking at his filmography right before I was starting the show, and I've liked Logan. I've liked The Wolverine. He directed Night and Day with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz, which I was a huge fan of. 3:10 to Yuma, which I liked. Identity, Girl Interrupted, Copland. He's, in his, 14 movies directed, I've pretty much liked over half of his movies, and I've pretty much seen all the movies that he has directed, and he's done a couple of TV things. But most of his movies that he's done, I've either liked or enjoyed immensely, and I've loved Copland. I really love Girl Interrupted, when that came out years ago. Night and Day I love, and I own that in my collection. And Logan is a movie that I do have love for too. So he's a very good, strong director in that sense. So definitely a big fan of James Mangold. This movie was written by David James Kelly and James Mangold. And the breakdown is as followed. In the near future, a weary Logan cares for an ailing Professor X somewhere on the Mexican border. However, Logan's attempts to hide from the world and his legacy are upended when a young mutant arrives, pursued by dark forces. And the cast is as follows. We have Hugh Jackman reprising his role for the last time as Logan. We have Boyd Holbrook as Donald Pierce. We have Doris Morgado as Maria. We have Patrick Stewart and reprising the role for the last time as Charles Xavier. We have Stephen Merchant as Caliban. We have Daphne Keane as X-23. We have Eric LaSalle as Will Munson, and we have Elise Neal as Catherine Munson, Quincy Faust as Nate Munson, and then we have Richard E. Grant as Dr. Xander Rice. And this was a really stellar cast. I have to say that the acting throughout this movie was outstanding. It was a very small cast, and it was a very intimate story. It transcended, air quotes, a comic book movie. And I've reviewed these things enough and talked about them, and I think Marvel really had set a trend as far as what Marvel Studios trying different genres and trying different things out, and it's really worked with success. And I think other studios are following the lead, and I definitely think Fox did that with Logan by letting kind of Mangold go without restraint and do a fully rated R movie, and allowed him and Hugh Jackman to make their ultimate vision of what they wanted Logan to be for his last appearance, and really kind of letting the shackles off those guys, because I feel like sort of the things that ailed Wolverine from being the best movie it could have been was they were trying to keep it PG-13 and not necessarily go rated R with it, and really letting them, it kind of hampered the movie and maybe certain aspects of how they wanted to deal with it, and also that it was set in the particular timeline. This movie is not linked to the other X-Men movies as far as timelines, but we know with the Fox movies, the timeline is so jacked up, and the continuity is so all over the place with the movies. That really doesn't matter, and it doesn't hurt the movie in any way. It actually fits in and around the main, X-Men movies, pre and post Days of Future Past in certain aspects of it, and they don't deal with that too much. They're just telling this really, story about this, wary, war-beaten, and bruised like Wolverine, and they do a really good job, and the one thing I really didn't get from this movie from the previews, that this was a very funny movie at parts. It did a really good job in balancing the very serious, heavy material and dark material that this movie was based around, but at the same time having moments of levity between Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart. They have a long-standing relationship that has gone through all, this long thread of all these films over 17 years, and really playing it up and showing that they had a really close bond and friendship. And I think that was lost at times in the main saga of movies, how close they actually were. And, really when you think about it, this movie was very important and vital for one real reason. When you really go back and you look at a lot of the X-Men films, and I've during the summer I went back and I was watching some of the older just comic book movies in general, just as more and more films go out, to see how they kind of hold up against them, and even within the same franchise, and then just, competing comic book movies, just to see as time passed what movies that were considered the best or the standard bearers, how do they hold up against the newer movies that keep coming out month after month, day after day. And, I never was a huge fan of X-Men 1, but X2 still holds up, which is really Wolverine's story. But when you think about the whole X-Men mythos on film with Fox Studios, really our view, we came in experiencing this world of X-Men through Hugh Jackman's Wolverine character. He's been that main thread that tied through all the different movies and everything else, and that journey's kind of coming to an end. So the movie has a certain heft feel to it because of that, because it's truly, we're coming to an era, because we've experienced this whole world of mutants and this journey through Logan, and Hugh, and I think certain times that Hugh Jackman doesn't get credit for being the great actor that he is, and he's really good, and I think he's underappreciated in that fact, on how his acting chops is. Like, he's good at playing Wolverine, and he's played him through so many movies, but he's a good actor, and I thought this movie more so than any of the other ones that he's done. And I felt like Mangold got some good bits out of him in the last movie, The Wolverine, but I think just at certain parts, the last act really hurt that movie, but other parts you saw a more complex Logan in these last two movies that they collaborated on between James Mangold and Hugh Jackman. Then adding the element of Patrick Stewart, and they didn't dial this in. They were really locked in and focused, and they were showing just how tragically things had turned for these characters. And you immediately, yes, you've had plenty of movies to attach and identify with these characters, but seeing them at such a so different place that maybe you would imagine in your head that their future would have turned out to be, especially if, you think about Days of Future Past, and the movie kind of ends with, hey, let's sit down and catch up, old friend. And then you see this movie opens and you kind of see where they both are. It's sad. It hits you a certain way. If you've been a fan of the X-Men franchise and you follow the different movies through the years, it's a damning thing, and it's a hurtful thing. And this movie gave, people were like emotional in the movie theater, and it made me think how much I really cared and were invested in these two characters specifically. I can't speak highly enough about Daphne Keane. She did a wonderful job. The trailers, as many trailers as there were, they did not do justice on her impact as an action star in this movie, how impactful she really was. And she has chops as well. And you got to think, she's a little girl. I don't know exactly how old she is. She's done some TV, but she hasn't done a lot of work. She's still relatively young. That she went toe-to-toe with Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart, and she did such a good job with with keeping up with them and even surpassing them at certain points. And she didn't speak for a large part of the movie, and she told so much from her eyes and her demeanor and her body language. And then when she finally started speaking, it carried so much more weight and added even more dimension to her performance. And I hope that she gets some acknowledgement on some level on that. And I think, just from this small sample size, I believe she's going to have a big future down the road. I like Stephen Merchant's Caliban, and I had to look this up because his portrayal seems so similar. And I know Caliban has appeared in multiple X-Men movies, and each time he's played by a different actor. I think this was his third appearance because some version of Caliban was in X-Men: The Last Stand. Then we had another, and I thought it was the same actor. Then when I looked it up, I saw that it wasn't. That he was in Age of Apocalypse in a kind of prominent role in a scene or two. And then we have Merchant's version here. And I think I like Merchant's version of Caliban the best. He really, I didn't know he was in the movie. That was one thing that the trailer really didn't let on fully to. And it was a pleasant surprise, and I didn't know he played such a substantial role in a movie, which I like that as well. I like the part of the movie with Eric LaSalle and his family. It kind of felt like a parallel to. I immediately in that scene, and I was thinking about this after the movie, and I was talking to my best friend, and I was talking to my wife as well, and I felt like that part of the movie was a parallel or kind of rough homage to the original Old Man Logan storyline, which many people assumed that was going to be what the plot of the movie was, and I was glad that it wasn't. They did a hybrid of some things, and it really worked. I really liked how they adapted this, and I can't remember the storyline as well. And I found the issues on Comixology because I knew it was just a 2-3 part issue thing. I think it's just a 2-issue storyline where it felt like they took some elements or atmosphere from Old Man Logan, and it was no way they could ever done, and it came close to doing what they did with that storyline in the comic book in the movie universe, just because of how the properties are divvied up and who owns the rights to what. So I knew it was going to be anything close or direct adaptation of that by any means, but a lot of people thought it was because they went with the name Logan. They just assumed this was going to be an Old Man Logan thing. I think elements were borrowed from Old Man Logan, like they went on a road trip trying to get the kids to Eden and so forth. But that segment or that chunk of the movie where he's with Eric LaSalle's family reminded me of Logan being out on the ranch with his kids and trying to live a peaceful life, and then being bullied by the nefarious group of money grubbing landowners, or and in the comic it was the kids of the Hulk, his offspring or whatever. It took a second for me to hit it, and as it hit my brain, because it's been a while since I've read Old Man Logan, and I was just thinking when I got home and we were talking about the movie and what we liked and everything. I always have, me and my wife always go to the movies and we sit down and have these, great conversations. So I was sitting down with my friend, and my wife, she didn't go with us, and I was trying to explain to her the movie. And while I was sitting there explaining, I was like, oh my gosh, that was kind of neat how they did pluck basic elements, it being a road trip. And having to, go on this long, treacherous road trip, being chased or running into obstacles along the way. That was an element from Old Man Logan. The Eric LaSalle and his family with his wife and daughter felt like a parallel to him being on the ranch with his kids and doing what he needed to do to kind of try to save and protect his family as well. a lot of that echoed, and I and I couldn't, because I don't have it, because I don't have the hardcover of it anymore, or the trade. I don't have the trade or the issues of Old Man Logan anymore, so I haven't read it in a while. I have to see about picking it up digitally. I want to go back. This movie wanted me to find it, reread it, and I might do a follow-up companion piece where I really break down the comparisons to the actual Old Man Logan storyline. But like I said, this wasn't Old Man Logan, but like I can see parallels and things that they picked from tone from that storyline, but they made it something new and on its own, which I really appreciated. Then also the relationship and development of the relationship between X-23 and Hugh Jackman, or Logan, throughout the movie was great. I like that the little kids, the New Mutants, and I heard the name Richter thrown up, and I used to love Richter back in the day. And I'm trying to see where Richter initially shown up. I think it was X Factor, with the original X Factor series with the 5 original X-Men. I think he was in like that first group of kids that they saved, if I remember correctly. And then he went on later to be a member of X-Force, and I think during when Cable was leading the team. So it was cool. Like they threw some different little Easter eggs with names of the kids and their powers. So it was little nuggets, tucked away there that was really cool. I just have to say, all in all, I really enjoyed, the movie. I think it had really good balance to it. It's a longer movie, long-ish. I mean, it's about, I think 2 hours and 12 minutes. But it's a satisfying 2 hours and 12 minutes. I don't think that you're, shortchanged in any way or any manner. The other storyline that I thought that they picked from is the iconic cover where it's Donald Pierce, I think, with a torch in his hand, and he in the Reavers. And I think in the original storyline and the comic, it was during the period of the time in the 90s where the X-Men were out in the outback in Australia, and I can't remember. And like I said, I found the issue, or I think it's like a 2. Hold on, let me check my Comixology, because I think I had it on a wish list, and I could tell you exactly what to look for if your interest is piqued in what I'm talking about. But I felt this vibe from this story, and I always liked this story. And I haven't read it in a long time. And I think it's a 2 or 3 issue. It's like 2 issues. It's X-Men 252 and I want to say 253. And the Reavers come, and it's Donald Pierce with a torch in his hand, and then it's another Reaver with like 3 wolves on, like strapped together, and then Lady Deathstrike, like with her claws out, and they're hunting down Logan, and their base of operations is this ranch or abandoned town and ranch in the outback somewhere in Australia, and they're hunting Wolverine down, and he's hurt and he's injured, and I think it's just him and Jubilee while they're trying to hide and get away from the Reavers, and it really, from what I remember, and this is totally off of memory, and I could be totally wrong after I buy these 2 issues and read them, and like I said, so I'll do some type of follow-up analysis, because I want to read Old Man Logan, and I want to read these 2 issues and do a further analysis and breakdown. I just didn't have time enough for this review, but I will, if you guys want, you can let me know on Instagram or Twitter, if you want, or even on the Facebook page, if you want me to follow up and do a further analysis and breakdown of Old Man Logan compared to what source material it was pulled from, that it had that same feel where the Reavers were right on, on his tail the whole time, and, he's trying to be resourceful, and he's, kind of taking some hits, and he's hanging on by a thread to try to get away and survive from these Reavers being hot on his tail, trying to take him out, capture him and take him out. So those were the different parallels when after I watched it, that I had a moment to think about it, think on it, that I saw where they pulled different influences from. Some people say they pulled influences from like Unforgiven, and it's kind of like a Western and all that. I always think about the comics first because I'm a comics head, so that's where my mind normally goes. And those were the two distinct places. They did pull from Old Man Logan, and they did pull from that storyline, or at least some minor elements in that atmosphere and that feel of what I remember in reading those stories. I think that's where they kind of got I could be totally wrong. I haven't seen any interviews to see for sure, but those are the two influences that scream out to me in watching the movie. Now, as far as when it comes to my score, if you're not not familiar with my scoring scale, I have must buy, date night rental, red box it, wait for cable, and skip it. My rating scale, if you want to break it down into a numerical level, a must buy for me is anywhere a score from a 10, between a 9 and 10. Date night rental, normally numerical scale wise, is somewhere between an 8 and 7. Red box it is 6 and 5. Wait for cable, 4 and 3. And of course, skip it is anywhere from a 2 to a 0. For me, Logan is a date night rental, and the numerical score I would give it, I would say it's about an 8.5. A lot of people give this movie 9s and 10s. It's one thing that hurt the movie for me is, towards the end, and it's sometimes with Mangold, he can't stick the ending with seem like with these Wolverine movies. I wasn't a huge fan of the clone / cyborg young savage berserker Wolverine as the big bad. That didn't work as much for me. Some people loved it, thought it was cool. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I probably would have liked to just seen like Donald Pierce, like him have more screen time and kind of, built him up more. But that was one thing that kind of took the movie down a notch or two for me. It might have been a 9. I don't think I would have given this movie a 10 regardless, but I think I would at least have gotten a 9 for me. That brought it down at least half a point because I really didn't like that part of the film or how that was handled. There was some cool scenes with that character, but ultimately I kind of was like, oh man, they went there with it, kind of. And it kind of took me out of the movie for a second. I readjusted and still enjoyed the movie, but it kind of hampered going into the ending for me some. But ultimately, 8.5, date night rental, worth going out to see. If you haven't seen it yet, or if you've seen it already, go see it again. It's definitely worth it. And I think it's more little things that you can pick up along the way and repeat viewings to it. So I can't wait till this comes out on home video, since I own all the other X-Men movies and or Wolverine. I own all the Fox X-Men movies, I think. So I'm a completionist, so I'll get it. I used to be a comic collector, so we gotta get them all. Just like the Pokemon, we got to catch them all. Now, we're looking down the pike on what comes next. We know we got a teaser trailer for Deadpool 2 at the beginning of Logan. It's been announced that in some form of production, we have the next X-Men movie, which is code name or being called X-Men Supernovas, which is supposed to continue with the young X-Men cast that we saw at the very end of Age of Apocalypse in the story, and they're trying to do the Dark Phoenix saga. So it's going to be interesting to see what materializes, or when we get some more concrete information on what exactly X-Men Supernovas is. But we do know Sophie Turner leaked on one leaked. Well, I don't necessarily know if she leaked, but she was asked about what project she had upcoming, and she kind of let off that she was supposed to be starting to film this movie later this year. So it seems like it could be already in production. There's been no real confirmation about it. So that remains to be seen. Then we know it's going to be an X-Force movie in the works. We know that it's they're moving forward with the New Mutants movie. I think Josh Boone is supposed to be directing that, so a director is already attached to that. And we don't know what the status of the Gambit movie is. It hasn't been officially canceled at this point. And then Simon Kinberg is tapped to write. He's writing, or he's helped writing the script for X-Men Supernovas, and probably will be be his directorial debut. He's been, a huge producer all through Hollywood. He has ties to the, to the X-Men with Fox, also with Star Wars, being the producer for that, and then the animated stuff and even their live action things as well. So he's been a mega producer in the business. So it seems like he wants to dip his toe in directing, and he wants to direct this X-Men movie. So we will see. It hasn't been nothing concrete has again been announced on that front as well, but it will be interesting to see. And that's all I have for you guys for this week. Like I said, if you want to enter into the contest, just follow me on Instagram. It is at Comic Book Savant, and I will randomly pick one winner from all the new subscribers on the Instagram account, and I will announce that on the 16th. I'll pick a winner on the 16th of April, and I will announce that on Instagram, and then the winner will get that $25 gift certificate from InStockTrades.com. Again, you can follow me, on Twitter at Comic Book Savant, on Instagram at Comic Book Savant. You can go to the Facebook page like I spoke about earlier. It is facebook.com/Comic Book Savant. You can follow me personally. It's James H. Harris III on Facebook as well. All the social media links are on the website, which is comicbooksavant.com. And that's all I have for you guys for this week. So I will see you guys next week. If you haven't seen Logan yet, you shouldn't have made it this far in the episode because I just spoiled mostly everything for you. And if not, pick up a book. Pick up a comic, read it. And if you really enjoy it, let me know. I need some recommendations on what's new out there. So, if you read something good this weekend, hit me up on social media. Let me know what it was so maybe I can check it out. And I will see you guys next week for another episode of Comic Book Savant. You guys take care.
And into lyrical wholeness. And I know this. And I know this. This I know. This I know.